Welcome to the ultimate Tolkien tournament. This is Middle-earth Madness. Welcome back, one and all, to Middle-earth Madness. Haven't seen you guys since spring, and we are back to start our summer tournament. It is going to be called Rome. That's the acronym. Stands for Races of Middle-earth, Dwarves, Elves, Evil Creatures, and Men. Who you got? All right. Well, since no one has tuned in yet, me and Engine Chief are here to bring you the direct action and save us all some time. So, without further ado.
Well, how about one piece of ado?
One piece of ado.
The four people, I chose Evil.
Yeah.
What did Patty Man choose?
He hasn't chosen yet, so I prompted him. Yeah, I prompted him. I will prompt again.
Okay. Do you know what Haunty and Chucky did?
Yes. Haunty's elves, Chucky's dwarves. I'm not sure they know people can choose the same race if they want, but or that's just how it kind of shook out.
That's interesting. Well, that should be fun. Okay, cool. So explain to anybody who's watching the videos, you choose individual games, but you also choose which race is going to do the most damage. It would be like in the March Madness if you could name your conference in addition to picking games.
Exactly. Yep, exactly right. And get extra points, of course, as we progress through the bracket for that conference in that example, or in our example, extra points every time a member of your race wins a fight. Now, we're doing, not the geometric or the, what do you call it, like the exponential progression. So the bracket scored on exponential progression, meaning like every sequential round is worth twice as the amount of the previous round. I thought, I guess we never ironed this out, Data, but I thought it's just, for the races tier of things, maybe we could just go 1 point for the first round, 2 points for the second round, 3 for the third, and so on. So what do you call that? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bonus points per round.
Linear. I call it linear.
Linear. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll show folks the bracket real fast. That's always a good idea. So, again, and we'll kind of walk you through what we're doing here, guys. So let's go to middleearthmadness.com. Check out the website if you haven't already. And here's our bracket. So let me put that full screen so folks can see. So the unusual thing about this bracket is obviously in no bracket that you've ever seen would a 1 seed play a 1 seed in the first round, right? Let alone both 1 seeds, both pairs of 1 seeds are playing each other in the first round of this thing, which is very unusual, but very deliberate also, because the whole point of this thing, if we zoom in a little bit, is to go by race. And as you see, we've got a dwarf here. Durin's a 1 seed. Elf with Glorfindel being a 1 seed, Man with Elendil being a 1 seed, and Evil Creature at the bottom here with Kamul being a number 1 seed. So as they progress, you'll get, really, really even action right off the bat in the first round, unlike, a tournament like March Madness where the 1 seed gets, a pipsqueak in the first round, right? A 1 seed in March Madness would play a 16, and only one time in history has that upset happened, right? In this one, right off the bat, we're going for real even action, and never will a member of the same race play, you know, a member of the same race in the first round, or right?
Second.
So in the second round, right? Because it's broken out. Now, only one seed. Excuse me. In this example, only one race, right? An elf, a dwarf, a man, or an evil creature, and only one seed will progress to the quarterfinals over here on the right. Okay. So the bad thing, the disadvantage of this format is then in the quarterfinals, in these middle rounds, that's when you get the potential beatdown, because 1 8 seed will advance here to take on one seed in the quarterfinals. So it kind of plays itself into a beatdown game and then builds back up by the championship into a probably even game again. So it's an unusual format, but should be really fun. But the whole idea is that, you know, only one race can actually get to the quarterfinals here. And so you're guaranteeing yourself, you know, elf on dwarf or elf on man or evil on elf, or, you know, different races in each fight up till the quarterfinals. And then all bets are off, right? An elf can fight an elf in the later rounds here and so on, but you have to win 2 fights to get there. So that's what we're doing. Thoughts, Engine Chief, while I get the proper screens back in place?
I'm dealing with all my hardware issues, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the first round.
Cool. Yep, so that's what we're doing, guys. Unusual bracket format, should be a lot of fun. Very different in the summer format than what we kicked off with in the spring. It's a 32 character tournament, straight brackets, no buys, right? And you can see that. I guess I didn't show you the whole bracket here, but yeah, you got 2 sides in the conventional style, 16 per side. So if you scroll over here on, again, this, I'm showing you just screenshots from MiddleEarthMadness.com, the bracket tracker page in the upper right. We haven't closed the group yet. Not too late for any of y'all to go make a bracket. So please do that if you're watching, or if you're watching this later on YouTube. So it's not too late. We're not closing the bracket group until the end of the first round because it's a free tournament. You can still enter your brackets. But what you'll hear us talking about on this channel and this stream is our own sort of side pool that we're doing. So we got some action on the side. We have each, that being me, Engine Chief, the usual characters that you see on this channel, each selected our own race to play as, right? So, for example, Engine Chief is coming to you as Team Evil. And so, you know, he for example, he is going for evil characters in this bracket. What that means is each time an evil character is victorious, he gets bonus points. So we're going to score that on a separate scoreboard on the side, on top of the points that people are already getting for, you know, the straight bracket scoring that's auto-scored by MiddleEarthMadness.com.
And so if we had thousands of people in this bracket, you would want to, like in my case, I chose the evil characters. I'd want to also pick them on each game in the bracket so that if the evil characters do well, I get double dip points and I have a shot at winning, right?
Yeah.
But given that we only have a handful playing tonight, it might be that I pick evil as my overall answer, but then several times in the bracket, I pick evil characters to lose, and that could be the winning strategy.
Yeah, but you make the point, right, for folks that it does add a strategic element too. You know, do you risk more? Like when in doubt, if I'm Team Men, right? When in doubt, I'm probably going to give the edge to the man because I get bonus points. It's worth more to me, you know, an opportunity cost or whatever you call it, right? To inflate that. Probably.
High risk, high reward.
High risk, high reward. Exactly. All right, let's get this show on the road. Our first fight tonight is Haldir against Balin. Haldir, new character in the tournament. Coming to you guys from the depths of Lothlorien, where he fought in the Galadrim. He was the March Warden of Lothlorien. He appears in, actually, the first book of the Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. You will remember him sort of accosting the Fellowship members, sans Gandalf, because this is after Moria, right? And in the movie, that makes the funny scene in the movie where, you know, Wolf breathed so loud we could have shot him in the dark. Right, that's him in the movie. And granted, the movie version's a little different than the books, as with any of this. But yeah, Haldir, an 8 seed in this bracket because, well, really the short answer is because the elves are heavy hitters, and there's 7 elves that are actually more badass than him, even though he is a pretty fell elf. He's a member of the Sindar, right? One of Celeborn's people. He's not a Noldorin elf like Galadriel. He's not one of those first age high elf heavy hitters. But Haldir should be fun. I will, just to get in the habit of it, change tabs here. Oh, look what we can do, man. Interactive bracket here. I don't have to get fancy. I can just click on Haldir, and look what pops up. His stat card. Ooh, round of applause.
We're seeing your face, not the stat card.
Say that again.
We're seeing your face, not the stat card.
Oh, that'd be my fault. We are still working out the kinks here. Must be the first stream of the season, right, guys? Screen share. Wait for it. And better late than never. Haldir. Now you got us, right? So if I do full screen, hey, there we go. So yeah, I was just mentioning that if you go to the website, click on any character in the bracket, you can pull up those fun stat cards. Fun and also useful, right? As you fill out your bracket, you can click on each character you want to see, and it gives you their stats, right? These battle stats, to remind folks, are what drives the combat simulation behind the scenes. And we won't get into details unless they're germane as part of the fight here, to save us all some time, right? But here's a stat card. You got Balin, he's the 8th seed. You know, and with a 32 character tournament, it's a little misleading. 8 seeds are the lowest seeds we have, right? There are no 16 seeds in this format. So there's really no bad character. Like, Balin is no slouch. You look at his stats here, you know, he's got some poor magic on offense, some middling, you know, bad ranged attack here, and no spirit to speak of on defense. But I mean, 90 valor. Dwarves, of course, we know are tanks on defense typically. Balin a little less so on the armor side because, you know, this is the version of Balin that's a little disenfranchised. He doesn't have the, you know, amazing magic armor from Erebor because, you know, he's been homeless for decades by the time the events of the Hobbit kick off. So that's kind of why he's an 8 seed. He's the weakest of our Dwarven field in this tournament.
Oh, look. Oh, sorry. I mean, he knocked off some in a round robin regular season, so to speak.
Good point.
He beat crushing people like Kamel the Nazgul and Galadriel.
Good point.
He can hurt people.
Kamul is a 1 seed, Galadriel a 3, Shelob I think a 2, Thranduil no slouch. Yep, so some good key victories. It goes to show you, man, there's going to be some variability in this because, again, 1s versus 8s are much different than 1s versus 16s. But at the top, too, there are no Maya, for example, in this field. So that's another big difference is, you know, those super, super elite people that we're used to seeing in these tournaments like Gandalf, Radagast, Saruman, the Balrog, you know, to name a few Maya, super heavy hitters, or, you know, first or second age elves. Actually, we have one. We have Glorfindel, but he's muted a little bit. He's third age Glorfindel, right? He's not necessarily the guy that you might think of, folks that have read the Silmarillion, where he's a first age Noldor. Although, you know, Glorfindel is a good example of why, you know, a 1 seed is a 1 seed, because he's definitely got a leg up on some of these other elves we'll get to. Anyway, first fight of the night. Initial thoughts on this while I pull up the battle engine chief.
I like seeing it in the battle engine because that's kind of how I think.
Very helpful.
Sorry, I mean I can't tell much from their faces, and I don't know the lore. I don't know the lore of Haldir very much, so.
No worries. I'm just giving you grief. I got to get this window up. Let me know when we can see that.
See it?
Okay. So we won't belabor much of this. We got to get to the fights, but graph on your right is a nice quick glance. Green line Balin, blue line Haldir. It lets you know just at a glance what each character's advantages are. So what jumps out to you, Engine Chief, now that we got this up?
Well, the dwarf is armored, as you would expect, so it's going to be hard to hit him, penetrate it. I mean,
yeah.
But Haldir's using ranged, so it's a lot easier to hit a dwarf with arrows and penetrate than it is with a sword and penetrate. So that leaves out of me.
And Balin is going to prefer his.
Balin would do better against close-in fighters like dwarves or Boromir.
Yeah, and you know Haldir. Haldir, he's fairly ambidextrous, meaning he's got a ranged attack that's not that bad, and he's got some melee skill as well. I'm just looking at the stats here. So his piercing on his ranged attack is 74 for Haldir, and his accuracy is 80. So he's got a pretty fell ranged attack.
Yeah.
But he can also do some damage with his agility. His striking is His striking is not that good. But yeah, typical Galadrim soldier, right? He's got sort of a hybrid style, a little bit like Faramir. So
yeah, it's a bad matchup for Balin. Balin's going to have trouble.
Yeah, probably right on that. All right, guys. Are we ready to finally fight our first fight of the tournament? Yes. Then without further ado, let us fight. All right, in our first fight of the Rome tournament, Summer Middle-earth Madness tournament, we've got Balin against Haldir. Some new characters here, or at least Haldir is. Let them fight. The first hit goes to Haldir using the Galadrim bow, but he fails to penetrate the dwarven armor. Let's get some battle music going and make this all about, some battle vibes here. All right. Back to the fight. Where's my fight window? Still scraping off the rest here, guys. Bear with me. All right, to the fight. Balin attacks with the Dwarven Magic, engages but fails to hit. Back comes Haldir, misses. They're going back and forth. A hit there by Haldir, off the Dwarvish armor. No damage inflicted yet by either character. Balin attacks, doesn't engage. Haldir attacks. The first wound, only a slight hit with an arrow. Back comes Balin. A hit and a wound! Slight smite! And Balin has the lead through 8 rounds. Haldir picks himself up, dusts off his fancy golden robes, brushes his hair, and misses. Back comes the ugly dwarf. He doesn't need to braid his beard. He doesn't need to brush his beard because it's braided. Okay. A shot and a miss by Haldir. Back comes Balin, can't engage the wily elf. Back comes Haldir, and back and forth they go through 15 rounds. A wound there by Haldir with the Galadrim bow. No damage. Back and forth they go. A wound there. Again by Haldir. Haldir chipping away, but still an advantage, about a 10-point advantage here through 19 rounds for Balin.
Three hits, all of them almost trivial. That's not expected.
Yeah, Valen's making me regret the lack of Dwarvish armor comment. He still has Dwarvish armor, just maybe not top tier. Another wound by Balin. A dagger throw. He's forced to use his less favorable weapon, but he chunks a knife and actually does some damage there to the pointy-eared Galadrim boy. Back and forth they go. A wound there by the Galadrim bow. Through 30 rounds, still an advantage for the dwarf. Back and forth they go. 33rd round, a strike there, but fails to damage the dwarf. Back and forth they go, dancing a little bit, hitting but failing to do any damage through 40 rounds. Here they go through 43, another hit there, looks like by Javier, with no damage. Oh, another wound. Slight wound with a dwarven mattock of battle.
Here's an idea for a future tournament, is for each game like this, each match, you predict how many rounds it's going to take, and whoever's closest gets the point.
Yeah, set the over-under on the rounds, huh?
Yeah, because I wouldn't have thought this would go like this.
Haldir's sticking to his bow and just cannot get the damage he needs. Oh, there's one, but only slight.
In the pregame analysis, the robot prognosticator said there's a lot of defense.
Wait, a hit and a wound by the dwarf isn't enough. Slay! And Bali pulls the first victory of the tournament, slaying the new boy, Haldir. Well, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the first fight is in the books, and the dwarf slays the elf. So we got one victory for Team Chucky, who took the dwarves. And let's get that going there. I'll update the bracket directly after the stream. I don't want to do that while we're on the air, but looks like Balin will advance to take on the winner of, as we pull the bracket back up here, he will fight the winner of Bard and Grishnak, which is a good transition to our next fight. Bard representing the men. Let me zoom out just a little bit. How can you? This is better for reading, but worse for picture quality because we get the pixelation. So we're fine tuning a little bit here. Does that look about good?
It's okay. Yeah.
Legible anyway?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Bard, what did he do? And of course, we didn't mention earlier that we run a round robin. That means everyone fights everyone is sort of our regular season leading up to this tournament. And that's the outcomes and the results that you see on the character cards here. So the key victories by Bard, who of course is almost purely a ranged character. He's a putz when it comes to melee combat, but he's actually pretty fell with his bow, as you expect for Bard if you know the lore, right? He murdered Smog, but there's no evidence that he, would be super fell. Although, to be fair, he did survive the Battle of the Five Armies, and I think he was fighting mostly sword and shield with that. So again, these 8 seeds are no slouch. They're not total putzes, but he didn't fare very well in the regular season. You can see 9-22 record. I don't know why it says 9 seed there. That's a mistake I'll fix. But he's an 8 seed. He did beat Glorfindel, who's arguably the most fell character in this whole field. So, it proves to you all you need is one lucky arrow, right? Maybe he busted out the black arrow in that fight and took down Glorfindel, arrow to the eye.
Don't believe it, ask Smog.
If you don't believe it, ask Smav. Exactly. All he needs is one missing scale, one eyeball target, which is a thing in Tolkien. A lot of arrows to eyes. Anyway, I mean, he slew Elrond, Aragorn, Galadriel. He also lost to Balin, Gloin. Not horrible losses. Ugluk, not horrible. Grishnak, pretty bad. Grishnak, arguably the weakest character in this field, although now that I say that, watch him beat Bard. Entirely possible. Orcs as a race, of course, great with ferocity. Often they have decent agility, although Grishnak not so much. The joke, of course, here in Middle Earth Madness with our founders is Grishnak does not skip arm day. He might skip leg day, but he doesn't skip arm day. So he's look, he's not one of the stronger characters here, but he's got some decent stats, decent toughness on defense there. Really, he's not going to rely on his ranged attack very much, but enough stamina, agility, and ferocity to engage a foe, hit a foe, and then if he does those two things, to wound his opponent in the simulated combat that we use here. So, Engine Chief, I'll let you do a quick review of these stats for people, if you want, while I load up the old battle engine, if you would, please, sir.
Okay. Well, I mean, you've been saying it as we go. I forget what the colors mean here. It helps you to categorize it, but on melee combat or close-in combat, there's you have to engage, you have to hit, you have to penetrate, and then you have to wound. So there's a lot of layers to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And whereas the ranged combat is a little bit easier. It's either hit or miss, and it's either wound or don't wound. But yeah. I mean, I thought you did a good job already of saying what these things all are.
Yeah, no worries. This is just a quick overview of our battle flow. This is basically, think if you're playing a dice-driven tabletop game like D&D or any of your, Lord of the Rings minis, any of those tabletop or board games, today, dice would simulate that element of randomness that you would have with a lot of this stuff. We're not going to belabor it, but drop questions in the comments anytime you're curious about how any of this works, and we'll do deeper dives as need be. Otherwise, we'll assume that you guys will go to MiddleEarthMadness.com and educate yourself in actually go to the Battle Engine page of the website for further breakdowns. It's good stuff over there. But we've got a fight to get to, and we've got Bard against Grishnak.
This is classic. It shouldn't last long because each character's defense is poor against what the other guy's attacking him with. Bard has no armor or anything else, so if Grishnak gets up in his face and hits him, it's going to be bad. And vice versa, Bard has arrows that can really damage a guy like Grishnak. So,
good point. Yeah, that's super well said, and that's borne out in what you see here in the pre-game, right? So this is our little pre-game screen at the top. If you can read that, it says Bard prefers to use ranged combat, exactly what Engine Chief said. Grishnak prefers melee, and each will get to use their preference about 94% of the time. Battlefield conditions, that's another dice roll that we have. It depends on each battlefield. You picture it how you want. That's one of the fun parts of what we do here in Middle Earth Madness is, obviously we're not about the whole animation budget. So you picture this fight old school D&D style in your own imagination. It's that old-fashioned thing called Imagination Land, right? That being said, the way we simulate different fights have different battlefield conditions. In the pregame, it's worth, whenever we show the screen, reading those top two lines. And then we'll kind of walk you through a little bit of what the graph is telling us, which Engine Chief already did. So, are we ready to fight?
I am.
Let us fight. All right. In the second fight of the first night of the Races of Middle-earth tournament, we have Bard against Grishnak. Let us fight. First attack goes to Bard. The Bow of Dale, but he misses. Looks like Grishnak counters, fails to hit. Back and forth they go. Oh, first blood to Bard. Little arrow damage there to the orc. Back and forth. Oh, a slight wound there by a poison dart as Grishnak is forced to use his less favorable attack. Back and forth they go through 10 rounds. Approaching 10 rounds. Oh, slight smite to Bard, taking the early lead by about 25 points. Back comes Grishnak with his orcish scimitar. Can't engage. Bard shoots, hits, fails to penetrate the orcish armor. Back and forth they go. Another. Oh, slight smite. Bard's getting arrow strikes here. We got 2 arrows poking out of Grishnak. So he's hurting. More than half of his life gone. Second. Okay. Let us continue the fight. Alright, Orcish Scimitar. Whiff! Another whiff by the man of Lake Town. Oh! A wound there by Grishnak, but doesn't do any damage. A hit and a wound by Bard isn't enough! Slay! And Bard with another arrow this time. A death stroke. And Bard slays Grishnak. Very nice. Very nice, man of Lake Town.
So remember I said Bard didn't have much armor, but what I forgot was he's pretty elusive. He's dancing around doing the Matrix thing and dodging the strokes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he was, gosh, I mean, that was pretty much a beatdown right there, if we're being honest. No luck at all for Grishnak. And that's the thing, yeah, for ranged characters, we've said it before, we'll say it again. You know, for the college hoops fans out there, they're like a 3-point shooting team. You know, those old Steph Curry Davidson teams or Trey Young Oklahoma teams. They're gonna live and die by the 3. And your range combat is kind of like a 3. You're trying not to engage. You're trying to sit back, fill the other guys up with arrows. We've seen it go both ways. I will say, what's the most range-dependent character we've actually seen win a tournament or make it deep? I think Saruman, but he's a Maiar, right? So Saruman is a ranged character. He doesn't have a sword like Gandalf does, like Gandalf carrying Glamdring, for example. That's not Saruman's game. But he made it to the finals of this past spring's tournament, the Third Age Throwdown, by doing that range comment and, you know, also being my Istari wizard. So, guys, drop it in the comments what you think so far. So far, we have 1 win for a man and 1 win for a dwarf. Oh, Ninja Chief, can't hear you, man. Try again.
Is Beleg Strongbow in this tournament?
No.
Okay.
He's a first age guy. Okay,
but in a past tournament, he did a similar thing. These guys with range, they can lose to anyone. They can beat anyone.
Well said. That's exactly right. Give me 1 second. Type in a comment here. And we're back in action. So who we got fighting next year? Let's pull the bracket back up. We are halfway through for tonight. And next we've got all right, we got the bracket back up. Cool. We are switching sides and we're going over to the 7 seeds. Now let's do that right quick. Where are our 7 seeds? Other side. Top right. So if you're on the bracket tracker page, MiddleEarthMadness.com, you can hit this up. We have Glowing against Thranduil. Another elf-dwarf matchup. A lot of these in the first round. You, of course, know about the ancient elven-dwarven rivalry. You see it playing out mostly in the Lord of the Rings via Legolas and Gimli's sort of dialogue and friendly banter. Not so friendly at first, actually, but becomes friendly later. Of course, they end up being best friends. Putting all that to rest. But, man, the rivalry goes deep, way back to the First Age, when it was actual wars and violence between elves and dwarves. So, but anyway, Glowing. Dwarf of Thorin's company, Third Age. You'll remember this guy from The Hobbit. Of course, he's Gimli's dad. He's 12 and 19, so not a great record against the 32 characters in this tournament field. But again, not bad. Like, we don't have any putzed characters really in this whole bracket, because 8 seeds are our worst seed, right? 12 and 19 was good enough to get him 7 seed. On the strength of a victory against Elrond, another one against Galadriel. He slew Legolas and he slew Azog. But he lost to Bard, who we just saw fight. He lost to Grishnak, who we just saw lost to Bard. So some bad losses maybe for Gimli's dad here. Which, lands him on the 7 line. Randuil, of course, and this is another example of a guy we should have mentioned earlier, Engine Chief, is... He likes to stay back and rely on the 3-ball, right, so to speak. Another ranged character here with, if you look at his stats, 85 accuracy. The guy doesn't miss. Piercing, 77. It's not completely lethal, hence him being a 7 seed. And, he's only got one more win than Glowing did in the round robin. So he's 13 and 18. He slew Helm Hammerhand. He slew Kamul, the Nazgul. He slew Aragorn. He slew Dane. So, again, very hard to call these range-dependent elves, right, of the world. He also lost to Grishnak. He lost to Bard. He lost to Thrain and Aelma. So, should be a good, if unpredictable one. Let me pull that up in our old battle engine. Put this up. You guys can feast your eyes on how our battles actually work while I get this one going. Give me one sec. We are queuing up Thranduil, Legolas's dada, against Gimli's dada. Look at that. It's almost as if it was deliberate. We could go a little bit on the Lordor here, if we had a little more time. Bear with me. Engine Chief, what do you think of this fight?
Feels like deja vu all over again.
Battle of the Dadas.
Yeah.
Legolas's dada against Gimli's. Okay, I've got this up now. We're ready to rock and roll. Okay. Better late than never. We've got... You guys see that, right? Yep, we're good. So, Thranduil, Legolas's dad, against Glowing, Gimli's dad. This should be a fun one. This is the one I was looking most forward to for tonight. I think it's completely unpredictable. It looks like the top line says Thranduil obviously is going to use his ranged Galadrim bow. No. His Mirkwood bow. Glowing, of course, is going to use melee Dwarven Warhammer. And they're going to get to use their preferred attacks 94% of the time.
So look at Thranduil's complete lack of armor.
Man.
He's attacked by a melee character who's going to come after him with the Warhammer. So that's bad. However, as we saw before, he's got a good agility, so it's going to be hard for Glowing to even get close enough to him to swing that hammer.
Exactly right. Yep, well said. All right. I think we are ready to fight. Let us see. Elf versus Dwarves. Elves need to even the score here tonight. We've already got a Dwarven victory earlier over an Elf, so let's see if Thranduil can even the score. Let them fight. All right, in our next fight of the first round of the Races of Middle-earth tournament, we have the Battle of the Dadas. Thranduil, Legolas's dad, against Glowing, Gimli's dad. Let them fight! First attack to Thranduil. Strikes but fails to penetrate. Comes Glowing with his dwarven warhammer. Cannot engage the wily elf. Oh! Thranduil leaps aside with a shot. Tink! Off the armor. Slight damage. Back and forth they go through 5 rounds. Slight advantage to Thranduil. Another hit by Thranduil! Oh! Heavily hewn! Oh! A shot. Right to the chest. Gimli's dad's hurting. Okay. But you are never out of the fight. Can he come back? Or will this be the first victory for Hanti's Elves? Back and forth they go through 10 rounds, missing, dancing a little bit. Back and forth they go. Oh, another hit by Thranduil. Is it enough? Slay. And Thranduil, Legolas's father, makes short work of the dwarf. First victory for the Elves, guys. So, they're keeping it pretty fair through 3 rounds. What have we got? We've got a Dwarven victory, a Man victory, and an Elf victory. Evil's got to catch up. But it's early. Anything can happen. Back comes the bracket here. Where are we at, guys? Let's take a look at our Brackley bracket. So for the 7 seeds that we're fighting on the right side of the bracket, Glowing Slain, Thranduil will advance to take on the winner of our next fight, which is Prince Imrahil of Dol Amroth against Ugluk of Saruman's Uruk-hai. Quick reminder that, characters like Imrahil that you would think of as being mounted, right, did most of his fighting, I think all of his fighting in the books, on horseback. He is not actually, there are no steeds, no mounts, right, no cavalry characters in Middle-earth Madness. Now we do plan to change that in future tournaments, so stay tuned on that. We're gonna, give some of the Rohirrim and the Swan Knights of Dol Amroth and, some wargs on the bad guy side. We're gonna give them their time in the sun, but not in this tournament. So you got to think of Imrahil as a dismounted Gondorian, foot soldier here. That said, what did he do? He was 11-20 in the regular season. Key victories over the Watcher in the Water. He slew Dane. He slew the Olog-hai. And he slew Azakal, the Dwarf Lord. So, no slouch. That said, some, excuse me, a couple of bad losses. Grishnak, 1 bad loss. The rest really not so much. Legolas, not a bad loss. Barrow White. So this is one of those guys that doesn't have, he's kind of in the middle. He doesn't have any truly impressive wins. Unless you want to say Azaghal, maybe, the 2 seed of the Dwarves. That's pretty impressive. But no terrible losses outside of Grishnak. Meanwhile, Ugluk of the Uruk-hai. 12-19, slew Shelob, slew Gimli, slew Faramir, slew Galadriel. Some good wins. And, similarly, not too many bad losses. He lost to Haldir, Probably should have won that one. But again, Haldir, Ugluk. Nothing too crazy here. Now, if you look at the stats on the bottom of the card there, we'll look at, again, in the battle engine, and Engine Chief can comment. But I'm looking, what stands out like dog's balls to me is 90 ferocity, 80 stamina, 80 agility. So this guy is not going to have a tough time engaging his opponent, who, right now is Prince Imrahil, engaging and striking him in melee. And then if he strikes him, he's got a decent chance of wounding, although a third of that, his capacity to wound the enemy is his striking, which is pretty weak. They got these clunky iron weapons from the forges of Orthanc, Saruman. Not the best swords, right? So his striking's only 60, his magic's only 30, but the other third of that, what's the math word? Quotient? Product? The other third of that puzzle, anyway, is his ferocity, which is 90. So Ugluk can do some damage here. Let me pull up the battle engine so we can get this one going.
I'm interested to see if they both choose melee. I think they both will. Unlike all the other battles we've had.
True. So these two, a little more versatile, right, than really anyone that's fought so far except Haldir. Haldir's probably our most balanced guy that fought tonight. But these guys are pretty much straight melee, as Engine Chief says. So Ugluk against, let me make sure I get this right, Imrahil. All right, let's bring this up. Cool. We're ready to rock. The battle engine is telling us that we've got Ugluk preferring range combat, no shock. Imrahil preferring range combat.
I think you said that wrong. Ugluk's doing melee.
Did I say range? Excuse me. Yeah, Ugluk. But I'm distracted by the fact that Imrahil is preferring ranged in this one, actually.
That does surprise me, but I was asking that because, Ugluk is kind of armored and kind of difficult if you go melee against him.
We were just talking about how good he is in melee, so I think Imrahil's strategy here is to hang back a little, and let's see, what's his piercing? 62 piercing on his lance throw. His accuracy 48? This seems like a bad idea, bad strategy. I don't know what he's seeing here. Because, well, his Valor's 84. Now, so blue line Imrahil, green line Ugluk. I just want to see. His armor is pretty good. I remember, that's one of Imrahil's relative strengths here, is for his race anyway, for men. He's got pretty good armor. He is a Knight of Dol Amroth after all. 72 armor. So on defense, he's all right. He's got a deflection advantage, an armor advantage, a striking advantage, and a valor advantage. Striking advantage won't do him any good if he doesn't use melee. And the ranged stuff, piercing's pretty even between these two. And accuracy, Ugluk's got the advantage. So, hey, go figure. Imrahil, rolling the dice. We'll see what happens. Let them fight. In the last fight of the first night of the Races of Middle-earth tournament, we have Ugluk of the Uruk-hai facing off against Imrahil of the men. Although a little bit of elvish blood in that Dol Amroth line. I digress. Let them fight! First blow goes to... Imrahil throws his spear, misses. Ugluk counters, can't engage. Back and forth they go. The first blood drawn by Ugluk for you. And he slashes the Swan Knight with the Uruk blade, drawing instant blood. Can Imrahil recover? So much for that good armor, right, Engine Chief?
Yeah, really.
Imrahil gets off, dusts his fancy armor off, tries to do some damage. A little wound with the spear throw, better than nothing. Back comes the Urukai. Nothing. Imrahil attacks. Engages, can't hit. Back and forth they go through 10 rounds. Another wound there by Ugluk. Very slight damage. Imrahil hanging in. Oh, more slight damage by the Urukai. Ugluk drawing more blood, with a major advantage through 15 rounds. And Imrahil pull the glorious comeback. A little bit of damage there. The spear throw. Ooh, as we said pre-show, man, bad call on doing that spear throw thing.
Yeah, we give him infinite spears and he still can't do it.
Yep. Ugluk strikes there off the armor. Imrahil comes back, engages, can't hit. Ugluk can't hit. Imrahil can't hit. A hit there off the armor by Ugluk. Imrahil counters. He hits, doesn't wound. Ugluk attacks, doesn't even engage. Imrahil hits, can't wound. Back and forth they go, approaching 25 rounds. Advantage to Ugluk in the 26th. An attack, can't engage the Swan Knight Dol Amra. Imrahil comes back, engages, can't hit. Ugluk. Back and forth they go, dancing. Slight wound there by Imrahil, taking the Orc down to 90 damage. Still a huge advantage for Ugluk in the 30th round. Another wound there by Ugluk. He almost finishes Imrahil. At this point, Imrahil probably needs a death stroke to win this. He's on the ropes. Can he do any damage here? Now or never, Imrahil. He engages. Cannot hit. Ugluk comes back. Engages. Can't hit. Imrahil hits. Wounds. What? A massive stroke by Imrahil on the spear throw. So he impales Ugluk with a lance. But is it enough? He evens the fight a little bit. But really the next stroke at all that Ugluk gets in melee is going to do it. Is this it? He misses. Back comes Imrahil with a chance. A wound! Taking him to 30. Okay. Any hit at all by Ugluk should finish it. Can he do it? Attack. Missed! Back comes Imrahil. Whoa! Another wound! Only 2 damage. He's making it interesting in the end here. Could we get a glorious upset? Another miss by Ugluk, leaving the door ajar for Imrahil. A wound by Imrahil! We've got it down to 25-7 in terms of damage. Imrahil with a fighting chance. But Ugluk comes back, hits, wounds, and slays Imrahil. Wow. Good fight there. And the Orc wins. Wow. Good one there. And very, very good first round in the sense that every race won a fight tonight. So there you go. So far, it doesn't matter what team you guys took. If you're team men, if you're team Orc, if you're team Elf, what am I forgetting? Team Dwarf, one of you guys won, the rest of them lost. So we're even through one round. Clap it up. That was a good first round, guys. Let's pull up the bracket and see where we're at.
And the next round is even more interesting because you're going up to tougher characters.
That's right. Yeah, we did 8 seeds and 7 seeds tonight. It only gets more and more. Well, talent level only goes up from here, guys. So if there were any scrubs in this tournament format, which there really aren't, those fights have already happened. So the rest of the heavy hitters have yet to fight. Tune in tomorrow to see those, but let's just take a quick look here. Or next round for the 7 seeds will be Thranduil against Ugluk for the 7 seeds. And over here for the 8 seeds, opposite side, we are going to have Balin against Bod. So that'll be second round in a few nights from now. But in the next few nights, our plan is to move through the rest of the first round fights. So tomorrow night, we are doing 6s and 5s. So tune in to see Galadriel versus Thorin. Azog against Faramir. And then over on the 6 seeds, we have the Battle White against Eomer. And Círdan against Dane Ironfoot. So there you have it, guys. Night 1 in the books. Thanks for jumping on, Engine Chief.
Yeah.
And thanks, moreover, for helping us get the battle engine all squared away. If you guys haven't, if this is your first tune-in to Middle-earth Madness, Engine Chief designed the algorithm, built the algorithm that drives all the combat that you see here on Middle-earth Madness. So, round of applause for Engine Chief.
Yeah, I'll vote for that.
Yeah, next few nights we'll have more of our friends coming back. I think you'll see appearances by Hanti, by Chucky, other familiar faces. Josh is in Costa Rica, partying it up. Really more of a second honeymoon, from what I hear. Hanging out in the jungle, feeding toucans and sloths. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, we'll have more of our founders tuning in, chiming in. And it'll only get better. So thank you all for jumping in here tonight. And, well, without further ado, in the words of Gandalf, you can only come to the light through the darkness. And where there is light, there is always hope. You are never out of the fight. We'll see you guys next time.